he made 500,000 from Faceless YouTube channel in 90 days. Wow. Ooh, that's actually a lot of money. So let's see how he did it.
This video cost me, I think, $250 to produce, and it ended up producing 20,000.
That's a lot of money. One video for that much money. Okay. Well done. Well done.
US. In the last year, it's close to 7 figures. In Q4 alone, I did 400,000, nearly $500,000 in AdSense revenue.
The question is, how? How does Noah Morris earn up to $200,000 per month on YouTube, working just 1 day a week? The answer
1 day a week, $200,000 1 day a week. That's actually a very good performance. I'm not sure if anybody can do that, but is it actually true? Is it actually realistic for the average person? Let's see about that.
may trigger you. Faceless channels. Welcome to the world of YouTube automation. From humble beginnings as a Minecraft creator earning no more than $100 per month of AdSense revenue, Noah now runs over 20 faceless channels.
20 faceless channel. It means this one young guy run 20 YouTube channel. Ooh, that's actually a lot. Well, I'm not sure if such actually possible for the average person, especially if you're a beginner like me. I'm not sure if you can actually run 20 YouTube channels at the same time. Even if you hire somebody to run the channel for you, you have to actually manage the team. So it would take a lot of work and a lot of experience to do something like this, I suppose. So that's probably not a good idea for the beginners.
And he's barely out of his teens. Now, when it comes to YouTube automation and faceless channels, I will be the first to confess I am a complete noob. And in my humble opinion, of course, faceless channels have somewhat of a controversial reputation. So I spent an hour talking to Noah about his business model. And the thing I wanted to know most was, could it be done by complete beginners like me and you? Let me spoil the answer for you now. Yes. And especially after this video, because Noah told me everything. A step-by-step approach on how to find the right niche, the right people, not to spend too much money, but earn tons from it. So, let's just jump right in.
Originally, I found this niche at the channel's called Court Cases. The second video got 5 million views. You can also show the earnings. This video cost me, I think, $250
5 million views
to produce, and it ended up producing
$20,000 one video. Okay, but see, if you want to actually make some substantial amount of money, you actually have to get tons of millions of views. So probably not doable for the average person. You have to have a very good video in the right niche with the right audience, etc., with less competition. So it's probably not doable for the average person. I don't think so.
$1,000 US.
Okay, Noah, based on that information, I might just quit my job and start a faceless channel. But I'm going to need a niche, right? Which are the best paying niches?
For me, it's sports, celebrity content, crime-related content, and essentially everything that American people watch. And American audiences
that makes sense, because advertisers will pay a lot more money to get in front of an American audience that have more money than the average person from the rest of the world. So that makes totally sense that you would be in a niche for that actually Americans are actually interested in. So
have higher RPMs. So some of these channels, especially in Q4, can get insanely high RPMs. I'm talking sometimes $14 to $15 RPMs.
So are there any standard techniques that you can teach us that will help us find niches like that?
It's a very consistent process you have to get a hang of. So I would be every day going on YouTube Incognito and refreshing my homepage, and then pressing on the YouTube Cash Cow content. So YouTube would recommend me more YouTube Cash Cow content, and I would be able to find those new channels getting recommended. So that's
okay. But if you plan on actually managing tons of different YouTube channels, it's probably something not realistic for the average beginner. You have to spend tons of time researching topic, just like he's explaining right now. You have to be constantly on YouTube looking at new trends, looking at new videos, coming up with new ideas where the competition might be lower. So it takes actually a ton of time and a ton of work. So it might be faceless, but it's not really automated because you still have to put in tons of work not only for coming up with ideas, but also to managing the team behind the different channels. So it's not really automated. I don't think so.
One way I teach. Another way would be the keyword method, where I would input random keywords, like let's say basketball. I would go to most viewed and this month, and I would scroll through all the channels. I would actually use vidIQ to essentially look at the subscriber count, and I would look at the amount of...
Yeah, I also use vidIQ. vidIQ is actually a great software you can use to have tons of information around videos on YouTube. So I highly recommend you also install it and use it. Link in the description below.
Views a channel would essentially have. And then when I found a channel that has a bunch of views, small amounts of subscribers, that would probably be a channel that started recently. And if I found multiple channels like that, I'm talking if they're getting above 200,000 views a video, and very, very consistently as well, and there's maybe 2 or 3 of these types of channels that started recently, that's when you find a gap in the market.
Wow, Noah, what you've just told me right there is what other people might charge $5,000 for in a course. This is essentially a blueprint, right, for Faceless channels. So let's say I found a bunch of channels like this.
Yeah, but it's not really doable for beginners. You have to constantly find new topic, new niches, etc., where the competition is actually very low. And every time you find a niche and you are successful in your niche, people are also gonna come to the niche and produce content for the same niche and the same audience that you have. So they're not very sustainable business model. I don't think so, unless you actually have an edge over your competition, something that's really hard for people to reproduce. It could be insane quality in your video or a particular knowledge that only you have in this topic, etc. You have to find something unique. It could be your own personality, the joke that you make, etc. Something that is not very easily reproducible by the competition, so you have a chance to go in a niche and then succeed over a long period of time.
What do I do next?
So after you found that niche, you want to think about, okay, is it not too saturated? You know, you have 2 sides you can choose on YouTube automation. Either you make really, really high quality content,
exactly,
and you can basically get into every niche, or you just make sure you have that first mover's advantage.
Exactly. So if you go for the second route, the first mover advantage route, you have to be first basically in a niche, produce content for the audience in a niche where nobody is actually producing content, and make sure to get as much money and as much traffic and as big of an audience as you can first before the competition arrives. But once the competition is there, if you don't have a moat, a competitive advantage over your competition, then you're basically killed. You don't have any advantage over the competition, and the competition will take the audience from you basically. So it's not really sustainable in the long term. And if you go for the second route, the high quality side, then you have to make sure that you produce high quality content that is totally unique, that the competition will have a hard time to reproduce, and then you have a chance to be sustainable. But it is actually very hard to do for beginners.
You produce less quality, but you make sure you're first to a niche. So that's step 1 always.
And then step 2 would be...
obviously, you come up with the topics. I would suggest for your first few topics, try to emulate what the existing channels are doing. So for example...
yeah, for the first few topics, I recommend that you actually produce content for what people are searching for. Because if you try to reproduce what already exists, what the competition is already doing, there's a big chance that the competitors' videos will appear first when people surf on YouTube. So videos with less views are much less likely to be trusted by the YouTube algorithm, and they are much less likely to be shown to people that search for a topic or in the suggestions bar on YouTube. So I actually recommend that you focus on different keywords that people are actually searching in the YouTube search bar.
For the court cases channel,
yeah,
right?
Right, yeah, in the YouTube search bar. You can actually enter different keywords in your niche in the YouTube search bar, and so you can find topics this way instead of looking at the suggested videos on YouTube on the side and try to produce content that is similar to the competition. It's much easier to rank for keywords that have no competition than to appear on the suggested bar, especially if you have a new channel and you are beginners on YouTube.
what I was doing is, obviously I first looked at Courtroom, which is the channel I was emulating. But then I was thinking, okay, other than these topics on Courtroom, see if there's any other older related channels. So in this case, I was researching and I found out he was taking the original topics from the A&E YouTube channel. So I started studying what videos did well in the past on the A&E YouTube channel, and which of those topics haven't been done by my competitors before. And I'll take those topics and put them on my own channels. Obviously, if you look at court cases, I even integrated the trend of Jeffrey.
Yes, this kind of topic is not something I'm really interested in, but there's probably a ton of people that like this kind of something. But I'm not sure if that's a niche that would be for me.
So you can get very creative with it as long as your decisions on your channel are always backed by data. Normal YouTubers, they would usually create topics.
Data is actually huge on YouTube. Of course, if you want to start a YouTube channel, you have to create content that is good for the audience, that provide value to the audience, that is actually educational or entertaining to the audience. But you have to also look at the data. Once you have a channel that is established, once you have produced 10 or 20 or 30 videos, then you can start looking into the YouTube analytics to look at what is working and what is not working. And that's exactly from the data that you see in the YouTube analytics that you can understand what will work in the future and how you can improve your video to make it have more reach and reach a wider audience on YouTube.
Based on feelings, a lot of the times I see that happening, but you really want to make decisions based on data and what did well in the past.
So I'm guessing at this point we're getting really close to the actual production of videos, is that right?
So and a lot of people always say, okay, go straight away to hiring a script writer. This is not the case. You can definitely just start a YouTube channel and then eventually turn it into a YouTube automation channel. That's very, very doable. When someone's never done YouTube, I suggest they just start as a regular creator. The downside is very small. You get experience firsthand. I know very well how to video edit. I know.
Yeah, exactly. If you are a beginner on YouTube, you don't have to invest a lot of money hiring a team to produce content on a channel that you don't actually know what is going to work and what is not going to work. So it's better to acquire the skills yourself that you need to make a YouTube channel successful. It's better in the beginning to do everything yourself, coming up with idea, writing the script, producing the videos, editing the videos, uploading to YouTube, optimizing the videos, looking at the analytics, etc. And if you do everything yourself and once you are good at it, then you can start outsourcing. Then you can start hiring people to do the work yourself and focus on what you actually want to do. But first, I also recommend that you do everything yourself, start as a creator, as a normal creator, and learn the different skills that are needed to make a YouTube channel successful.
I know very well how to script, right? But if you've never done that before and you immediately start hiring, you're very disconnected with your team, right? So script the videos yourself, get an AI voiceover. They're getting really, really good now. And do the video editing yourself until you break even or you're making a profit, and then start outsourcing.
Okay, so this is encouraging, Noah. You're essentially saying that anyone can start out with zero budget and it might actually be the right way to do it to learn the craft. But what if I wanted to build out a team like you? What do I do?
So you want to find a team that carries the passion for you. Essentially, you don't only outsource the work, you also...
Exactly. I think that is huge. That is very useful information. Passion here is key. Every time you start a YouTube channel, you actually want to be in a niche that you like. You actually want to be in a niche that you are passionate about. And when you are passionate about a niche, you will automatically create better video. The audience, the viewer, will automatically see that you are enjoying yourself and they will also enjoy themselves. If you are passionate about the topic, you will put your heart and soul into your video. You will make it engaging, funny, entertaining for the audience. And if you are not passionate about the topic, about your niche on the other hand, then it will be totally boring. You will find it hard to succeed in this niche because you don't know a lot of information or you feel unmotivated, etc. And the audience will see that as well. So it's huge to be passionate about what you are doing. Very huge. Very important.
Passion. Once you've identified your niche market, your topic, that's when you know who to hire. For script writers, I highly recommend finding someone who is passionate about the subject. I would rather hire a scriptwriter who knows nothing about YouTube retention and who is very, very passionate, than a scriptwriter who is like a retention
Passion is
nerd,
huge.
but knows nothing about, for example, crime documentaries or tennis. You need a scriptwriter that matches the target audience before you focus on retention, because retention is something you're able to teach someone, and passion you can teach. So
You cannot teach passion. That actually makes sense. So it's better to find someone who is passionate about the subject if you are trying to hire a scriptwriter. That totally makes sense, and I totally agree with him on this point.
when I search someone for a specific sport, I'll go into a Discord channel that has people who play that sport, and I'll ask.
Yeah, if you want to find someone who is passionate about the topic, you can, for example, have your own website, have your own blog, just like I do, and hire people there, posting a job listing on your own website. Or you can go to places like Reddit, Instagram, or Discord, or YouTube in the comment section, etc., and ask people if they are willing to join your team.
Like, is there anyone interested in earning a little bit of money on the side? Or I'll contact people who run a blog about a specific sport. These are really good places to get those scriptwriters from.
Do you have any specific advice on hiring voiceover artists and video editors?
Voiceover actor doesn't really matter. Just try to find someone again that matches or appeals to your target audience. So if
Yeah,
it's
that makes
crime,
sense.
find deep male voice. If it's gossip content, try to find a high-pitched girl voice. But your video editor doesn't necessarily have to have any affiliation with the niche or content itself. Just make sure they understand retention-based editing very, very well, that they're able to tell stories very well through finding the right clips to use online.
What about thumbnails? Because
Very
we know a lot
important.
of creators.
If you want to make a good video, you have to get a great title, a great thumbnail, and have great retention throughout the video. There's no point making a great video if nobody is clicking on your video. So your title and thumbnail have to be on point. And there's no point making a great title if the video is bad. So to make a video great, you have to make sure you understand retention-based editing, as he put it, meaning making the video interesting through storytelling, adding different clips, adding different breaks, adding different titles throughout the video to make sure it is very fun to watch.
To struggle with this, Faceless channel or not.
The thumbnails at the start I usually like to design myself, simply because a lot of thumbnail designers are great designers, but they're not good at understanding what makes an audience click. If you look at the Court Cases YouTube channel and you look at the thumbnails, they're not very complicated, but they got results. You first want to teach yourself, okay, what type of thumbnails do work here?
Thumbnail is actually very, very important. To make a video work well on YouTube, people have to click on it and then watch it. So if your thumbnail is not good enough, people are not gonna click on your video, and even if the video is great, if the thumbnail is not good, YouTube won't promote your video to a wider audience. So that totally makes sense that you want to put a ton of work into your thumbnail.
Then, once your channel does well, you want to start outsourcing that process. So now you teach the thumbnail designer and you give him inspiration for the thumbnail. He simply does the designing or putting the thumbnail together. The concept you still do. And after a while of working together, maybe a few months, that's when you say, okay, now you do the full process. Now you're in full charge of making sure.
So now he's actually teaching about managing a team, how you hire the right people, what you tell them to do, and how you make sure that they are doing their job correctly, how you give them responsibilities. So that's actually great information, but not something you should look at as a beginner.
These videos get views.
Noah, you've already mentioned a lot of this point, but what are we missing right now? You mentioned retention hacks. Tell us more about that.
What I usually teach the scriptwriter essentially is I send them all the channels of our competitors. I say, okay, have a look what people are mentioning in the comments, and also look at the relative YouTube retention. If you hover above the YouTube play bar, you see this transparent up and down mountains above the YouTube play bar.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
relative retention. Look at the relative retention and see where the points of interest are in the video. And same thing for the comments. It's like a library of understanding what people are interested in, right? The retention.
Yeah. Looking at the comment section is actually also very important for any YouTube channel. You want to talk with your audience, you want to respond to your audience, you want to answer their question, you want to engage with them, you want to give likes, you want to thank them for watching your video, but you also want to understand what they like about your content and what they don't like about your content, so you can improve in the future. So looking at the comment section to find that kind of information is actually very, very good.
Retention comes from understanding your audience mainly. It's not about like secret editing hacks, not so much. It's about understanding what moves your audience to think.
What your audience wants to watch, what makes them click on a video, what makes them watch to the end. So you have to be passionate about your niche. So you have to research within your niche. You have to be a member of your audience. I understand what the audience would actually watch on your channel to make it succeed. That's very, very important.
Take action or to comment, to engage, to watch more videos. Studying the target audience in that way would be my biggest retention hack.
All right, I feel like I'm suddenly pumped for Faceless Channels, and now thanks to you, I have all of the strategies to start. So what's the best case scenario? How much can you make from YouTube automation with Faceless Channels?
In November
You can
of
make
last
a lot of money
year,
on YouTube.
I think I did around $200,000 in a
That's a
month
lot.
in YouTube AdSense revenue.
And how much would you say on average it costs to start a Faceless channel?
Beginners, I would say it could probably take up to a month for them to get started. But for me personally, it takes about 2 weeks to start up a channel, to get that first video rolling, and maybe to get to that first 1,000 to 10,000 views. I would start seeing a return.
10,000 views within a week. That's actually good. But keep in mind that he's very experienced. He's been doing this for years. He runs multiple different channels in multiple different niches. He has a whole team behind him. He probably knows a lot of people that are doing the same thing as well. So it's not very realistic for a beginner to have these numbers, but with time, if you keep practicing, I believe that anybody can do what he does actually.
At video number 12, but let's say the average video cost would be $100. That would cost me like $1,000 to $100 to break even. For beginners, I would say $3,000, $3,500 of videos that are $100. So 35 videos, I think.
What would you
That's a
say
lot
is
of
the
money.
hardest thing about YouTube automation?
The hardest part would be a good thumbnail designer and a good editor.
I mean, talking about lifting the lid.
Yeah, the hardest part is probably not hiring people. That's actually very easy to do. It's very easy to do to hire people if you know what quality you have to look for. But the hardest part would actually picking the right niche for you, actually coming up with the topic, actually understanding all the different skills that you actually need to make a YouTube channel successful. Whether it's retention-based editing, for example, or having a great title or a great thumbnail, or coming up with great topics for your audience that people would actually want to watch, understanding the competition, etc., understanding how to optimize your videos. That there are a ton of different skills. There are a ton of different skills that you need to master to make a YouTube channel successful. And hiring is probably way down the road later.
On an entire YouTube industry, you've just got it all right there. And if you do want to learn more about Faceless Channels and YouTube automation, then follow Noah on Twitter. Link is in the description. Now, Noah mentioned that one of the key components of a Faceless channel, or any video for that matter, is the editing of it. And it turns out there are 4 editing secrets that will help you hack retention. And this is how you do them.
Okay, so thank you vidIQ for this video. vidIQ is actually a great software that I also use and I would encourage you to use as well. So give this channel a subscribe. They produce tons of videos that are useful for YouTube channels, for YouTubers. Give the video a like. It was actually very helpful. Plenty of information. So I hope you enjoyed this video today, guys. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.